Who the hell are you? Do you think your show is a match to my secret? Move out of the way. Hello there, Pintix here. This is my first video, so let me introduce myself a little bit. I love Star Wars, I love action figures, I love tweaking stuff, and I'd be happy to share the excitement that I experienced from those three. So to kickstart this new journey of mine, we are gonna check out the Bandai SH Figuarts Mandalorian in Beskar armor. Up front, we've got the logo nicely printed on the window, with a golden frame indicating that this is part of the Mandalorian line. No shit. On the right, you've got a figure's close-up photo, and on the back, you've got some more pretty shots featuring the accessories that come with the figure. More logo on the top, and on the left, with the Machinations Authenticity sticker. And on the bottom, you've got some product info. And now it's time to get this bad boy out in the open. Alright, here he is, the Mandalorian in Beskar armor. Man, this is one sleek figure. Looking at some reference photos, he really is pretty accurate. The overall look achieved that mysterious warrior, you better don't mess with me vibe. But he does have some minor disproportions here and there. This head, for instance, seems to be a little too small for the body. And the lack of a visible neck piece accentuates that further. The shoulders are also too broad, which is probably caused by this articulation right here. And the upper torso lacks some width, or maybe the legs are just too wide apart. But barring those, the detailing is just great in this figure. Looking at the helmet, the glossy silver makes it look like a legit polished metal. They've got the shape right, even with the small details, such as this side piece right here. Even the back looks great. One minor thing though, this seam does not exist on the actual helmet, but it's probably there because of the limitations on the molding side. The polerons on the chest piece also look realistic, with the same glossy silver they used with the helmet. And there's a flexible piece of bandolier over the torso, which has a peg hole for the rifle's sling strap. There's also some disruptor bullets here. The transition between the leather brown and the silver paint is just neatly done. We've got a darker shade of brown for the clothing here. Wrinkles and seams are nicely molded for that realistic look. The bracers here are very detailed with those grooves and linings. This right one has the flamethrower attachment, which you can remove. It has a duller shade of silver though compared to the other Beskar pieces. I'm not sure why they did that. Maybe because the details can stand out more in this paint. And we also got the padded gloved hands. Colors are pretty accurate, but I believe the finger sleeves should have a more darker shade. Maybe this is just me, but it looks like a sloppily painted flesh with this color, which it isn't supposed to be. On the other side, you've got the whistling bird casing, which you can also remove. That is some nice mold right there. You can even see the clicky buttons where it controls his other equipment. And there's this padding underneath the torso. I love how the paint makes it appear soft, which is how it's supposed to look like. The belt buckle is nicely molded too. You've got some more bullets. And the blaster here can't be unholstered, there are separate pieces for that. It swivels from the belt, so you can have better leg movement. And you've got his explosives on the other side. The dark red paint is a nice touch to make them appear inactive and unlit. Some more bullets on the back, and there's some plating here with a peg hole where you can secure the rifle. And there's some more Beskar here in his behind. There are some chips and dents molded here. What could have done this? This is Beskar! Someone's out to get Mando's. On the back, you've got another armor plate with a larger peg hole for the jetpack. And there's some more details here for the bandolier. Can he even reach this pocket? Here's a closer look for the holstered blaster. There are some wrinkles here and there to make it look like leather. It looks like the blaster and the holster are molded in one piece. The hip plates here are also hinged for more leg movement. That's a nice shade of blue. And here are the thigh armor plates. This one right here is the last piece from his old armor. I'm not sure if this is supposed to be Beskar, but I really love this piece. It makes Mando unique, and the patched up look suits him really well. These plates are painted with the same silver as the bracers. We've got more of his dark brown clothing underneath, with wrinkles and grooves. The details are also present in the back, which is nice and consistent. Now we get to the boots. More bullets. We've got linings and bands. This knee piece right here stands out, looks removable. I want to try... Nope, I won't risk it. On the other side, there's a pocket. Finally something he can reach. And there's a lighter brown band below. The shoes are finely shaped and detailed. You can even see the linings on the sole right there. It has a different shade of brown, but that is accurate. It gives a more worn out look. And it's really supposed to be separate from the upper piece of the boot. And finally, the cape. I like the texture of the fabric and how it's cleanly tucked underneath the chest piece. I prefer this than the Black Series rubber mold, but these edges look sloppy. The cape looks like something that is ripped from someone's pants. I know that's intentional to make Mando look more scruffy, but it doesn't look good to me. It's a shame because I really love how the fabric feels. And there are some more cutouts on the bottom edge. Not gonna lie, feels like some kid did that for a school project. Maybe this is Baby Yoda's doing. Now we go over the articulation. Great tilt side to side, you can tilt the head forward a little. You can tilt back by this much. And rotate all around. The pauldrons hinge this way so you can raise the arm by this far. And rotate all the way too. You also have an extra rotation joint for the arm. Elbows are double jointed, this left arm can only go this far. But the other arm goes way past. You can also drop the shoulder down. And it hinges this way, but the movement is limited by the torso. The wrists have the typical SHF ball joint. The articulation is limited though, because the edges of the bracers block movement. Upper torso can swivel side to side, but it's a little tight. It can bend over a little, because the bandolier hinders more movement. It can bend back more though, because the bandolier here is cut off. You can also twist the hip around a bit, but this is just too tight. Initially the legs can barely move, but you can drop down the thigh here and move it around this joint. And then it can now kick forward better. Backward not so much because of his behind. You have to bend his leg outward though so you can maximize the movement. So when you do a kneeling pose, the body awkwardly leans to one side. That's still good articulation, but it looks weird to me. Double jointed knees, bends far enough. But the other knee has this extra piece perhaps to hide the joint, which makes it harder to bend backwards. Fit swivels forward and back, with an extra toe joint right there. But it struggles to swivel side to side because of these protruding edges. Now we go over the accessories which this figure has loads of. Starting with the hands, this is the default closed-fisted ones. We also got some naturally open hands and widely open. There's a left hand with a tracker fob. I can bring you in warm, or I can bring you in cold. Then there's this loosely gripping left hand. And for the right hands, you have the rifle grip and the blaster grip. And lastly, you have this tighter gripping hands for the vibroblade. You can replace his right pauldron with another one which has the mudhorn signet on. There's an articulated ball peg on the shoulder for the mounting. Okay, this is hard to attach. The other two pauldrons can be put back easily. Oh, flies away. Turns out my mudhorn pauldron does not sit well on the ball peg. It can stay there temporarily, but once I start moving it, it dislodges that easily. That is very unfortunate. The peg hole's not properly molded, maybe. It seems like my Mando doesn't feel worth it enough to wear this yet. Here's the blaster. The brown grip is a little bland, and it lacks some silver accent on the barrel part, but it's still detailed. It has its own specific hand and you have to squeeze it in, to get his finger on the trigger guard. Looks amazing. It's fairly easy to slip in, but I won't remove that anymore, because I hate rubbing the paint off of my figures. Which is why I'm thankful that it has a separate holster piece. Some may be thrown off and call this over-engineered, but what I love about this, I don't have to rub any paint off the holster and the blaster and the hand whenever I try to remove and attach the blaster. And next we have his trademark pulse rifle. Again, like the blaster's grip, this buttstock can use some wood texturing, but the overall details are accurate. You've got some different shades of gold, metallic gray for the chamber, black for the barrel, and we got the two-pronged bayonet. The barrel can be removed here, so you can replace it with the one that has a peg for Mando's back. And also you have to remove the pronged part so you can attach it to the new one. The peg is very tiny, but it's finally secured. By the way, you can cover up this hole right here with a silver piece, but I hate losing small stuff, so that's staying in the box. If you want to mount the rifle at his back, you have to attach this extra sling strap. You have to push it further to go through the hole on the chest plate. You also have to remove this small piece on the chamber for the strap connection. Now, this is complicated. I'm sure there are other ways to do this without having to remove a small part that can be lost forever. The last step is to attach this peg on the back of the belt. That looks great. The nice thing about the cape is you can position it any way you want. And if you want him to hold the rifle, there's a specific hand for it. But the fingers are too tightly closed, so I use tweezers to pry his finger gently and squeeze in the buttstock into his hand. And after that, you can just twist the hand around until his finger reaches the trigger. Here's how it looks with the rifle. He looks dope. And there's also this electric shock attachment. I love how it looks. This is the typical SHF electric mold, and I like that light shade of blue. Next is the flamethrower accessory. It can easily be attached by these two pegs. I'm good with the color in the mold, but I wish the flame shoots off further. Still looks great though. And for the left bracer, you can remove this portion for the whistling birds. The mold looks good. The bullets just look fantastic. Look at how amazing the transition of colors within the bullet trail is. Again, I wish for the bullets to go further and their direction more random, but I'm fine with this really, looks great. And we have his badass jetpack. It's painted with the same silver for the thigh armor and the bracers. Nice details there all over. And you've got these nozzles with a softer plastic. Mine has a slight warp on the other, but I can easily reshape it. And on the back you've got more details and the peg for attachment. You can replace the default nozzles with the ones with exhaust flames. There's a specific position for the connection, so you have to be wary of that. It can't probably be seen on the screen, but the hole is D-shaped, so you can line up the pegs properly. And this goes on the large peg hole on the back. Again, this is another reason why the cloth cape works well. You can position it any way you want to give that flying effect. This just looks awesome. The cape may be unruly sometimes, so you have to be patient on finding the right position. And lastly, we have the vibroblade. The mold is great, really looks like a dagger. The plastic is definitely hard, and it should be, because it has a thin portion right there in the middle, and it's even sharp. You can put it in the closed grip hands. It's a little tight though, so that will also stay there for good. I love this vibroblade. It may be my favorite accessory despite the size. I mean, look at that. It just looks good. Look at how thin it is. Also, instead of a bland cardboard, SHF provided a printed one with a scenic sunset right there in the desert. Perhaps this is Navarro? That's a nice bonus. Comparing it with the Black Series one, am I gonna pay 3 times more for the additional vibroblade, flame and electric effects, and the whistling bird? And you also get superior paint and plastic quality? For me personally, because Mando is a weapon-based bounty hunter, that's a definite yes. And even comparing it with other SHF figures, especially the first Mando, which has almost the same price, this is bang for your buck. The only major issues for me personally are the cape and the disproportions, and some of the articulation, but the many good things about this figure just blow them away. That's it for my first video, guys. Thanks for stopping by. If you're happy with what you saw, please drop a like and do subscribe below, and perhaps share this video to help me grow. Thank you so much. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bintwix out.